The other concept that I love, which is it's a relatively new concept to me, maybe the last couple of years, and it's by a fantastic author called Simon Sinek. And who Simon is, he calls himself an eternal optimist or something like that. But basically, he's a mindset and leadership coach. He's written a couple of great books, such as Leaders Eat Last, and The Infinite Game is another of his concepts. I think actually but extrapolated by somebody else. And the idea behind that is that we play finite games and infinite games. And the finite game is where there's it's like a sport, right? You've got a time limit, you've got ways to score, you've got ways to win, you've got ways to lose. And at the end, there's a winner and a loser, right? We play finite games in sport all the time, and we play finite games in business all the time, where it's about beating the competitor and we win. But really, with business, unless a business dissipates and completely dies off the arse, which is impossible, not impossible, but highly improbable, particularly in the sales game and the tech game, because you're not usually selling, unless you're in the startup game and those startups fall over, you're generally dealing with big tech organizations, titans of industry that are going to be around for a long time. We get fooled by our leaders, by capitalism, by society, that business is a finite game. But it's not, because if you are wholly and solely focused on your customers and not the competition, then you go into this infinite game of perpetual improvement, of evolution. And that perpetual evolution is really driven by your desire to improve incrementally on what you put out to your customers so they buy your product. And really, that infinite game also applies to how we get better internally in our own minds, right? We get fooled by managers and business leaders that we are playing a finite game of sales because at the end of June 30 or the end of financial year, that's that year done, you're back to zero again and we start this whole rigmarole again. And that's true to a degree, but realistically, when you are in this developmental game of life, and particularly when you are early in career, you're really focused on the infinite game of skill improvement, improving your communication skills, improving your business acumen skills, improving your prospecting and your forecasting skills, and all these little bits and bobs, all these little elements that improve your holistic experience as a salesperson, as an account manager, whatever it is. And because you take that experience from dealing with lots of customers, the feedback, what went right, what went wrong, and that builds your experience pool up. And you should be building upon that every year, right? Every new customer, every new portfolio, you're drawing from previous experience. That's why, experience counts in many games, right? Veterans understand, they get that different sense of the game that's being played here. And that's why they're relied upon as leaders, because they've been through that experience. And just like mentors, they can shape new recruits, new people to be efficient at this process and quicken their capability, their effectiveness in market, right? Or in the game itself. So, like we talked about last week, soft skills and people skills compound in time. We should be focusing on skills that compound in time and service eternally in these infinite games. So your soft skills, communication skills, emotional intelligence, social psychology, business acumen, these are all eternal skills because the business world is based on human psychology. People are the constant in our existence, in our world, and we need to understand how people think to make sense of what they do and why they do it. And then, likewise, this is an infinite game until you choose to quit it at getting better at people, getting better at sales, getting better at technology, learning new technology, etc. And leadership, which is what Simon talks about, is again, the function of leadership is not to lead as a title of It's not, leaders, there's a hierarchy to leadership, yes, but the sole purpose of a leader in an organization is to enable their team members, their subordinates, the people under their care, their best work and effort towards the shared outcome they have as that unit, right? Leadership is a service that you provide to other people. And you can, just like we can always slowly and a little bit get better at our craft or whatever, leadership as a skill is also an infinite game, because you can get better at being a better leader and getting the most out of your team and out of your unit every single day. Because again, it is a skill. Just leadership is a skill. It's a trait, but it can be taught like a skill, right? So this idea that don't focus on the outcome, focus on the improvement of the process. Play the infinite game of improvement. Don't get necessarily sucked into the finite game of, oh shit, if I only make 95% of my number this year, then something's gonna happen. No, it's not. That's the benchmark to improve on for next year, particularly if you're early in the game, right? If you get your number in the first 2 years of your sales game, good. But if you don't, but you've improved incrementally over those period of time, then that's what's more important.